Hi, it's Russ, and I want to talk about the new BX Pan EQ from Brainworx. Now, this has come a bit out of left field, and if you've watched the video of the producers that had the sneak preview of this, you kind of start thinking, especially when you do what I do, that everybody's done everything in terms of creating plugins, and in many cases, people are just doing new versions of the same plugin. But what Brainworx have done here, who are already highly respected for their MS processing, have come out with this BX Pan EQ, which kind of is like MS processing on steroids, because what it does is it enables you, it's very simple thinking behind this very complex technology, is that you can EQ within the stereo spectrum. Now, MS allowed you to do that to some degree already, so basically with MS processing, what you could do is you could do the center and the sides, or the mid and the sides, and that would mean that you could get in and you could fix stuff down the middle or fix stuff on the outside and do some tricks like that. But what this does is it allows you to get in on 3 bands of parametric EQ with very narrow or very wide bands, and then actually go in with a pan and choose a position. It's probably easier to show you than it is to tell you. It's very simple to understand, and then it's just a case of using your imagination about how you could use this. I want to show you this in 2 situations, in a mastering scenario and then in a creative scenario as well, because those are 2 areas you really want to check this out with. Download the demo and play with it yourself, because when you start getting into it and start understanding the power of it, there's some really cool stuff. So what you have is 3 bands. You can activate them here, and then you have a solo control for each one of them. You have a gain, a Q, a frequency, a pan, and a focus. And what focus does is it allows you to say, okay, this part of the EQ spectrum, it's going to be very wide in the stereo field or very focused. So, for example, if you've got a hi-hat or a ride cymbal and you want to just concentrate on the EQ of that ride cymbal, you can get into it and start doing that. And the other cool thing as well is because EQ is effectively gain, you can then move stuff around the stereo spectrum with the stereo version. So if you're in a mastering scenario and somebody says to you, hey, that tambourine's a bit loud, or that tambourine is too hard right or too hard left, you can move it back. I have a song here and I want to show you this. And I've got a synth, just a synth and a beat. And what I'm going to do first is show you this without the pan EQ on. So here is the synth first. Let's solo that and play you this. Now you can see already that I've automated all of the controls. I've left the bottom end in, and you can do some pretty cool stuff. So this is with it automated now. Listen to what happens to this synth. It's already quite nice, got a bit of movement, but this is what happens when you start using automated pan EQ. And again, put your headphones on for that. Then I've got a beat in as well. And I've got a tempo-based band that's moving the hi-hats around. And also, at 3.8, I've got a very focused center on the clap kind of snare thing. Here it is before. It's all right, but give it some life using EQ. So it's great for building big stereo images of sounds, especially for dance and EDM. Turn it all back off again. So you wouldn't have imagined before you saw this unit you could do that kind of trick with EQ, and that's the power of it. So Pan EQ has 2 really big functions for it. For mastering engineers and for mixing engineers, you can do some really good forensic, getting tight on certain EQs within the stereo spectrum. And then in the second area, in the production side of stuff, music production, then you can do some really cool stuff with moving stuff around using automation. Now, if you're a sound designer or a composer or working in film, there's other stuff as well. So if you had a bad EQ on a stereo pair within the field with some stuff you got in on a film capture, then you you'll be able to go in and fix stuff just in parts of the stereo spectrum. So I have to say, a huge thumbs up. We had a heads up on this. We were, I think, we're the only site to have this early, so we could play with it. And I have to say, the more I use it, the more I can see uses for it. So it's a big thumbs up from us, from Pro Tools Expert. And I give it editor's choice for two reasons. It's incredibly intuitive to use. It's very, very simple to use. It's incredibly powerful. It has lots of functions. And most of all, it's incredibly original. And anything in the plugin world that's original, that works well and gives you some great creative tools, is worth a lot in my book. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.